Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are brand new here, welcome. My name is Emma and on this channel we play with makeup. If you are returning, thank you so much for clicking on another one of my videos. I appreciate you so much and I'm so glad you're here today. So today is a multiple looks with one palette type of video. And today we are doing 5 looks using the Ace BEAUTE Falling For You palette. This palette was brought into a recent project pan, and that is why I got to play around with it, even though this is a clearly a fall palette. But I figured I was already using it for that project, so I was going to play around and make some looks and show it off to you. I have seen this particular palette on sale a couple times recently, so if you like these looks and you don't have this palette, look for it to go on sale and maybe it's a palette you'll want to pick up. If you do already have this palette, well, let's learn how to do some looks with it. For most, if not all of these looks, I will also be using their eyeshadow amplifying base in the shade Light. I have only used this with one other palette before, so I'm not entirely sure how it works with other formulas just yet, so I will keep you posted on that. But with this formula, it's a dream. It is a dream and a must-have. You can absolutely use this without it, but you're not going to get the same level of you're not going to get the same pigment. So right here we have all of the looks just swatched. This is without the eyeshadow base. You can see beautiful, beautiful colors. So there is that palette, absolutely beautiful again. And I just wanted to share with you the names of these shadows for further proving it was meant for fall. We have Apple, Squash, Pumpkin Pie, Autumn, Pinecone, Cherry Pie, Spice, Cranberry, Chestnut, Persimmon, Cider, and Candy Corn. Definitely meant for fall. Some of these colors could be brought in with other palettes to be used other seasons, but this palette on its own, mostly for fall, little bit springy, depending on how you wear your makeup. We're going to start with making this look, and we're going to go into a couple different looks. 2 looks, this one and one other. I'm going to show you how to go from a daytime version to this beautiful nighttime version in a matter of minutes. So if you want to learn how to better use the makeup you already have in your life, then stick around. Let's get into it. So all I have on the face already is my moisturizer, a tinted moisturizer, and chapstick. Everything else still has to be done. For today's look, I am again going to be using the eyeshadow amplifying base from them. It is in the shade Light, and I mean, I really have been enjoying it. It's probably the best eyeshadow base I've ever tried, but I don't think I have used it with, I've used it with my Too Faced palette, but I've not used it with any other palettes, I don't think. So I want to see how it works with other formulas from other brands before I fully recommend it. But to go with the stuff from their brand, at least, it's really good, and it worked real well with the Too Faced one as well. All right, so when you're putting this on, you need the lightest amount, like the littlest amount ever. Okay, and I just put like a little bit on my finger. Like, that is all I'm starting with, okay? You can always add more. It's always better to add more than to have to deal with taking it off. And then I'm going to pat it on my eyelids, just a little bit there, a little bit there, and then I'm just going to kind of start to pat it out with my finger. And actually, I might have done a little too little on that one. I'm afraid to put more, but I'm going to put just a teensy bit more. See, just another itty bitty amount. All right, so as I'm patting this out with my finger, I'm making sure to get the whole eyelid and a little bit higher, and basically anywhere you want to put eyeshadow and you want the color to be amplified. Once I've sort of used it a decent amount with my finger, I'm going to go in with this itty bitty little sponge. I go on the larger side, and it kind of helps to move it around, set it down. I don't want to bring too much up here because I don't want like super dark and super pigmented up higher, but I do want a little bit. So I do try to even that out everywhere. Once that's kind of patted down, I like to go with the smaller side, make sure I'm getting it into the inner corners, into the any creasing you might have. Especially if you're planning on putting color there. Now, if you're not somebody who's going to put a color in your inner corner, then you don't have to really worry about that all that much. You just want to kind of blend it out a bit. All right, I'm going to let that set down for a moment. Okay, for today's look, we're going to go in first with Pinecone, and then we're going to go in with Chestnut. So this is probably going to be a darker look, but these do blend out nicely, so I think you can make a lighter look with them if that's what you're looking for. But today we are going with a little bit of a darker look. I am going to go in with this small fluffy-ish brush. Sorry, it doesn't have a name or anything. It's just a Disney makeup brush. But we're gonna go in first to Pinecone, and I'm just going to get that dipped in pretty softly because it picks up quite a bit, and there's honestly a decent amount of pigment in this, and I'd rather build it up than have to blend it out as much. And then I'm gonna go in, so for this color, this is going to be kind of everywhere-ish. I don't know, let's see. I'm gonna start with just like tapping it on the lid a little bit, and then bringing it a little bit higher up here. I don't want to go too high, but I do want to bring it above the crease and then into the crease. And the reason for that is because I do have slightly hooded eyes, and they become a little bit more hooded with product on them. So I want to get this color kind of everywhere basically. So I'm gonna bring it everywhere, keeping the darkest look on the outer color though for me is the best, and honestly it's the best for anybody with a hooded eye. And I also think that it's a more a style that has stayed around the longest is to have the darker on the outside and the brighter or lighter on the inside. So we're just going to keep blending that out in like circular motion. I also tap a little bit. I try not to rub. Sometimes I get a little bit of a rubbing like up here, but it's very, very light. You can see that one time going in with that pigment has done its job. So you can go darker on this if you need to by just going back in with the brush and adding it on again. But if this is a good color for you, then just stick with it and just blend it out to where you feel like you like it. Now, because this is my base and I'm trying to use only 2 colors for the base look of this, I do want to bring it all over the lid and anywhere I want color, because I'm not going to add, my second color is going to be on the outside corner, not on the inside or the lid or anywhere else. So I want to do this anywhere I want color. And if you go too high or if you go too far in here, you can always fix it. There are ways to fix basically anything. So don't be afraid to experiment. All right, that is pretty blended out. Not entirely sure if I like the way that the top is going. So I might adjust that a little bit later, but first I'm gonna go and do the same thing on this eye and see how it's looking. So I did kind of go in with this one with a less heavy hand, accidentally, but it works for this, so I can show you the difference. So both of these only had one dipping in, but this first one I went a little heavier, and you can see it's much darker, versus this side I went a lot lighter, and you can kind of see that you can get a really different look from how heavy or how light you dip in and how much product you bring onto your brush. I'm going to still try to even these out a little bit more, but I just wanted to take a quick moment to show you you can get multiple looks with the same shadows. Now that the eyes are pretty close, they're a little bit off from each other, but that's okay. I don't want to go back in again and chance making this one much darker than the other one and then playing that game. So I'm just going to leave it as it is. And I'm going to go in to Chestnut. Chestnut's this beautiful deep color. It's got a deep, deep purple to it. But I have noticed that if I blend it out just a little too much, it does have a pink undertone. So I want to be careful not to overblend this. But I also need to blend it out to how it's going to work. And if it turns a little pinky, that's all right. It's just what this shadow does. Dipping in, I'm going in with an angled brush. This is the Luxie 207 medium angle shading brush. And I kind of tap a little bit of the excess powder off because I'd rather build up and try to take it off. I'm gonna go in with the angle pointing inwards. And I'm going to tap that on. I'm going to start definitely in the outer corner and kind of work my way in. And then I'm going to kind of work on blending it a little bit. You move your brush as you feel you need to. Bring it a little bit into the crease, and then if you have a little bit of a hooded eye and you want to have that same color a little higher, go ahead and bring that just a little bit above your crease, kind of where you've got a little bit of a bone there. And then as you can see, right where I place it, it's kind of stained. And then right where I've blended it out, it's kind of turning a little bit of a pink because this does have a pink undertone to it. I want the outer corner to be a little darker, so I'm going to go back in, tap the excess off, and try to get a little bit more of that outer corner. There we go. So I actually really enjoy exactly how that is placed because it is perfectly ombre-ing, I'm gonna call it, into the next color. And it kind of almost makes it look like I have 3 colors on my lid. You can blend this out however you want. If you want that darker, keep going. If you want it lighter, blend it out a little bit more. For me, I'm gonna leave it there for now because I think I'm gonna have to come and fix a few things in a minute, because this is where it gets a little tricky, is trying to match almost both sides. Now, your eyes are never going to fully match. I'm sorry, it's just not gonna happen, and that is okay. But I'm gonna go in and do the other side real quickly. Again, pointing that longer angle in towards the center of your face and tapping it on. There they are both. They're not exactly even, and that's okay. We're gonna fix this up just a little bit, give it a little bit of a cleaner look. However you want to do this. So sometimes, so you see this eye kind of comes out and forms a wing. If you're going to put on an eyeliner with this and make a wing, leave that like that. This side doesn't have a wing look, so if I was going to do a wing look, I would have to wing that out a little bit. But this side, it doesn't have a wing look, but it also, I'm not a fan of how it's kind of ending. So I'm going to take a blending brush and kind of just blend out this side until it's looking the way that I want it to look, and then play around with this side to kind of get it a little closer to each other. And this blending brush has nothing on it. All right, so I kind of blended it out and made it a little bit more down here. I think I'm gonna kind of stick with that. I'm gonna clean it up a minute with a little foundation, but I'm gonna blend out the top. Again, using a blending brush, going and just kind of getting rid of a little bit of this harsh line that we have going on. All right, so see how we toned down that harsh line so we don't have just a direct line of color and our skin. It kind of blends out up into the brow bone. It doesn't have to go all the way up into your brow hairs, but just blending it, it makes a nice transition there. I'm gonna fix this side up, and oh, that just came off. Okay, this is what happens when the glues come off. That's not broken. I can just re-glue that. All right. This is an Elizabeth Mott blending brush, by the way. So I'm gonna blend out this side and be right back. All right, I like the way this looks. I'm just going to go in with my beauty blender that I used for my foundation earlier, and I'm just going to tap around the edges. I don't need to add any more in, typically, but I am going to just kind of tap it very gently, and that's gonna kind of clean up a little bit of that line there, that shadow shape. All right, those are the two colors we are using for this look. I'm gonna go and do my brows, the rest of my face, my mascara, and I'll be right back to show you what the finished look is. So here's the finished face, minus lips. I haven't done anything for the lips because I wanted to just tell you, you could just do like a nude lip with this if you wanted to, whatever nude is for you, like your best lip color, you could do that. You could go bright and bold and bring in a purple, but that would detract from your eye look. You could go with like a brownie nude, and I'm kind of going with a lip lacquer, so in between a lipstick and a lip gloss. It's more glossy, and this is just the e.l.f. one in the shade Moody, and I'm just going to put that on my lips real quick. And that's just to kind of bring a little bit more color to the rest of the face because I have everything else going on. And there is that look. Now this look can be a couple different things. It can be an everyday look. It can be a going to work look. It can be a daytime look. It can be an evening look. It could be a nighttime look as well because it is nice and dark. But if you are looking for, if you want to elevate this to a going out on the town look and you want a little sparkle, it is so easy to change this look up a little bit. Okay, let's say you want to elevate this to a more sparkly look. We're going to go in with, I believe, the last shade that I haven't used yet in this palette, for these looks at least. And we're going to go in with Cider. Now this one is a Goldie, like a gold color, but it kind of does have a tendency to pull greenish yellow. It's kind of hard to explain. Hopefully you can kind of see it there. So we don't want to put too much, and we just want to put that in the inner corner. Now, because I already have mascara on, you want to make sure that you're doing this when the mascara is fully dried down. Don't do this when your mascara is fresh. But this is like, let's say you've worn this look all day and you want to touch it up and you want to make it have a little bit of a shimmer, and you're going to go out with the girls and you want to sparkle. We're going to put a little bit on our pinky finger and we're going to tap it in. Do not rub, at least not at first. Depending on how it places on you, you might be able to rub a little bit once it's placed, but you want to start with tapping. And you might have to hold your, like, don't hold and pull your eye because that isn't good for it, but you might need to give it a little bit of like a support, if that makes sense. So we're going to start with this side because that's the side that I'm better at. So I'm going to close the eye a little bit, not fully. Hopefully you can see this. Avoiding as best you can the lashes and tap. And then you're going to take what's still left on the finger and go to the other side. Getting that inner corner the best you can and kind of going into the crease a little bit. Now that it's kind of on there, you can give it a little bit of a smudging, I guess you can call it, a little bit rub, but don't push too hard. It's more just to help it blend in. Now this is such a bright color compared to that darker stuff that it's going to take a minute to kind of get to a look you like. If you find you have too much on your finger, you can go ahead and clean that off and then keep going. I'm going to do that in just a minute. I'm going to do a little bit more on this side first. All right, now I'm going to just wipe that off of the finger real quick so that the finger isn't perfectly clean, but it's basically all gone. And then I'm going to go back in and smudge it out some more until it's at a color and style that I want. Now, how far you go is completely up to you. I, for this look, kind of like to go big like this, so it's kind of almost to the center of the eyelid. But you can also just do the very inner corner, and that would work great too. I kind of think that this is pretty good for me. I am going to take that blender brush that I had earlier. I'm going to kind of blend it in a little bit so it's not as much as a direct, like, harsh line that just kind of stops there. But I'm going to first do the tops to kind of tone those down a little bit, kind of like just above. See how that just kind of nicely blended out on the up, so it's more transitionary versus just stark line that stops. And then I'm going to kind of do the same over here. There. Okay. And over here, very gently, because I don't really want to move the other shadows. And then we double check. All right, I love this look. Now you can leave it like this. You can add a liner with your mascara on already. It might be a little bit difficult if you are not used to wearing a liner to put a liner on. For me, I like it like this. I actually prefer most of my looks without liners, but I'm playing around with liners again a little bit more, but not for today. Today we're gonna leave it like this, but I am gonna add a little bit more mascara because we're going out on the town, right? We want a little bit more oomph. So I'm going to, so the first mascara I used was the CoverGirl Lash Blast Clean, and that gave it just a beautiful everyday daytime look. But I want to go in with the Maybelline New York Colossal Curl Bounce to give it a little bit more. And because this is all dried down and everything, I can just go directly over what I already have. Kind of just gives it a little bit more length. It gives it a little bit more refresh of that dark color. There you go. You have a night out on the town look. Now for your lips, go ahead and do either that liquid lipstick or an actual lipstick, give this the extra pop it needs to really elevate it, or enjoy your lip gloss if that's what you like to wear. But now you have a look that went from daytime to nighttime in no time at all. If you've liked these looks, well, here are some more, and I promise they're going to be a little faster. Okay guys, for our second look, we are again going in with this base here. I do highly recommend this. Of course, I still have to try it out with other things. Then we went in with Squash all over the eyes, and then here we're going in with Persimmon, a beautiful, beautiful orange all over the lid, a little bit into the crease, and then we're going into that center of the lid with Candy Corn. It is such a beautiful, bright color there. Perfect actually for summer, I would think. And then we're going in that outer corner with Chestnut, which really pops with those other colors that are there. And I do get a little messy on this one and have a little bit of a trouble making it the way that I was hoping it would look like, but I used my sponge to help with that. And then I just go in on the bottom again with that Chestnut to kind of give it a little bit of extra dimension, and then clean it up with Squash. And here we can see the final look. I'm trying to make these looks go a little faster because I know you don't want to sit here all day, but hopefully you can see how that all just kind of came together. So that was the base, the Squash, Persimmon, Candy Corn, and Chestnut. And I did add more of the center color on again to help it pop a little bit more. So just go in as many times as you need to. All right, for the third one, we are going in again with the base, and then we're going to be going in with Pumpkin Pie, Cherry Pie, and then a brown eyeliner. All right, so here's that first Pumpkin Pie, where I am going in on the outer corner and then the inner corner and trying to avoid the center of the lid. And this again does take a little bit longer. I want it darker on the outside than in the inside. You can see that center lid has some, but very little. And then that Cherry Pie is such a pretty pink sparkling color. You could definitely make this work for a spring color. Just making sure to pat that on first and then kind of rub it out as needed, and then go ahead and clean it up with a brush. And then I did just a light brown liner on there just to kind of give it a little bit more of a pop. I really like the way that this turned out. I would not suggest this color lips with this, but I kind of already had that on. I've been practicing with overlining the lips, and I'm not entirely sure I like it. But here is that final look again, the base, Pumpkin Pie, Cherry Pie, and a little bit of a brown eyeliner. Very simple to do, and you could bring that color up higher if you wanted to. Then for number 4, we are going in again with the base and Autumn, Pinecone, and then at the end here you're going to see we're also going to make this a secondary look. So this first one, we are doing Autumn, putting that all over the lid and into the crease and a little bit higher, and then going into that corner with Pinecone and an angled brush to deepen out that outer corner and bring some dimension there. And this is going to be the perfect like daytime into evening look. Don't forget to clean it up and blend it out. That's what really elevates these looks. You could add another color if you wanted to, but leaving it like this and adding your mascara works really well. Now here I'm going to take it into a nighttime look by adding in that apple. Apple is such a beautiful shimmery, like a champagne-y look to it, and it's gonna just elevate this look to a whole new level. So again, this was Autumn, Pinecone, and then Apple. And definitely don't forget about blending it out. You really don't want those harsh lines to be showing. And I just did a very light lip gloss, and I think that that kind of toned it down so it wasn't as sparkly and in your face, but you could absolutely do a bright, bold lip as well. What do you think? Is this one a keeper? I feel like this could be a much more everyday look, could be good for any season. Definitely a lighter spring look as well. All right, for this last one, we're going to again start with the base, and then we're going to go in with squash. Just going to put that basically everywhere. I'm going to then use Cranberry, beautiful pinkish purple, well, purple with a pink undertone, I should say. And I'm going to do that all over the lid, a little darker on the outside, and then I'm going to go in with Spice, and this I'm going to go into the inner corner with. And this is really going to tie this look together. This one was so fun to make, and this could absolutely be during the day if you're okay with wearing sparkles, but also great for an evening look. And then I'm doing my very first ever, I believe it's called tight lining with a brown liner. That was scary, I'm not gonna lie. Love how this just kind of came together. Again, that was squash, then cranberry, then spice, and then a brown liner on the bottom. If you enjoy these videos and this type of video, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in a video very soon.